Your pastor is Commissioner Gordon, but I am Batman. Okay? Your pastor believes in the same things as me. He knows the same truths as I do. But Commissioner Gordon is not allowed to do certain things because of his position in the public eye. Not because he's afraid of the public, but because he has to manage a certain image with the public. He has to follow certain social norms, he has to follow certain laws, and Batman does not. Batman and Commissioner Gordon believe the same things. They're on the same team. They want the same things. Behind closed doors, they can speak freely. But in the public eye, Batman can behave a lot different than Commissioner Gordon. And Commissioner Gordon is your pastor. Okay? I am Batman. He is not going to tell you the things that I tell you in this video. Because he can't. All right? Nothing wrong with him. He's a good man. But he's playing a certain role that doesn't include these things. But the role I'm playing of vigilante can include those things. So, part of the reason that Commissioner Gordon will not admit to Batman's activities, he will not legitimize Batman's activities. Part of the reason why most churches will not legitimize what I do is not because they don't agree with it, it's because they can't. And it's the same reason Commissioner Gordon cannot legitimize Batman. There's a lot of interlocking webs, no hard feelings. We all have a part to play here, okay? But I guarantee you, if your pastor is based at all, he will agree with 95+% of everything in this video. Will he admit to agreeing with it? I don't know. Probably not. Maybe behind closed doors. Probably not. But does he agree with it? Absolutely he does. So, pull up a chair, boys. You're about to hear from Uncle Luke. I'm about to give you some game, okay? Got my coffee. Second cup of Bustelo today. We are buzzing, ready to roll. Before I get started, though, I need you to understand why you should listen to me. Why? I mean, if you're watching this, you're probably already subscribed. If you're not, hit the subscribe button real quick. Do it. Okay. So, you already kind of know my style. But what you need to know about me is I am highly qualified to speak on the topic of hot girls and their benefits. Why? Because I've been everywhere. I've been the guy who could not attract a hot girl. I have been him. I have been that guy who could not attract a hot girl. I thought I was practicing abstinence. I'm trying not to get censored, guys. I thought I was abstaining from, the thing, but it was abstaining from me. I was an incel, essentially. I wasn't a knowledgeable incel. I didn't know I was an incel, but I was. I could not attract hot girls. There was a time like that. But I've also been through a time, guys, where, I should say I'm still in it, where I can attract very hot women, okay? Your pastor's not going to speak about it this freely. I'm going to say like 8.5, 9 out of 10s. I can attract those style women. 10 out of 10 would be like an Angelina Jolie in her prime, or Ana de Armas, or Scarlett Johansson, or some of these big name celebrities. Jennifer Connelly, if you want an older one, right? Those are just some that come to mind. Can I get the 10 out of 10s? No, honestly, no, I can't. But I can do like 8.5 to 9s, all right? Not trying to dehumanize anybody. Y'all know what we're just talking about, purely objective or purely superficial attractiveness, okay? So, and it's not objective, but there are a lot of things that all men agree on, okay? I'm qualified on this. I've dated and or talked to, gotten in relationships with literal beauty pageant winners, um, like gorgeous snow Latinas, Slav girls. Hopefully she's not watching this, but yeah, some gorgeous ones there. Um, a lot of different races and ethnicities actually. Sounds like I'm a massive player. That's not the point. I'm not trying to brag about this. I'm trying to tell you all this so you can trust me. I've also here's another really big one. I've been married before and I'm single now. And when I was married before, I did optimize a lot for someone that was very, very, very attractive to me, and I got it. Okay. I optimized for it and I got it. I went after what I wanted and I got it. And I'm no longer married. Okay. So I have seen the really, really good, the really, really bad, everything in between, everything that led up to it, everything that came after it. I can speak on this. And because I'm no longer married, I don't have to worry about the same things that Commissioner Gordon does. I'm not in that game anymore, so I don't play by those rules. There's unspoken rules in marriage, guys. You know, your your pastor is going to tell you that his wife is the most beautiful woman in the world to him. And he's going to refuse to give further comment on how objectively attractive she is. Okay? And that's good. Like, the general public doesn't need to get confused about this, and there's certain fairy tales that we need to tell. Not all fairy tales are false, okay? There's a true fairy tale in that, all right? You and I are just talking on a different level, okay? So I don't judge your pastor for saying this. As a matter of fact, one day, if the Lord decides to give me another wife, which I don't know if I'm hurting or helping my case with this video, but if the Lord does decide to give me another wife, if I prioritize looking for one as well, and that ends up happening, I may say something like, oh, I got lucky and, I optimized for godliness, but I got the looks thrown in. I will probably say something like that, to be honest. And it might even have actually happened that way. But whether or not it happens that way, I will probably say something like that. Oh, I wasn't trying to look for the most beautiful woman in the world, but I got her. I will probably say something like that, right? But as I sit here today, I can guarantee you, I did not optimize for beauty. So if you see me with a woman one day and you're like, if I do get remarried and you're like, you know what, I feel like Luke could have gotten a more attractive woman, the answer will probably be yes. I probably could have got a more attractive woman. And that's why the title of this video is going to be something along the lines of what they won't tell you about the hot girls. Because, long story short, they're great, but they're not all they're cracked up to be if you're trying to get married, okay? Now, if you're trying to play the field and be Red Pill, be Justin Wall or Andrew Tate, then you should exclusively look for the baddest of the baddies. Because all you're really doing is having non-monogamous periods of relationship with these women that you're discarding like trash whenever you're bored, whenever they annoy you, whenever one party is tired of it. If that's what you're doing, then you should optimize for, the most carnally hedonistic route that you can, okay? But you're watching this video, right? So that's not you. We're on the same page. We're not doing that, okay? So, starting off strong, with bearing in mind, I'm not going to optimize for hotness. Basically, the rest of this video is going to be me explaining why that is. Now, I'm going to start by saying that, you should marry a woman that turns you on, okay? I'm not like, I don't want to get ahead of myself. You should marry a woman that turns you on, gets you going, that you want to impregnate. Pardon my very blunt language. But there should be a primal part of you that says, I want to impregnate this woman. You should feel that way. If you do not feel that way about this woman, Uncle Luke is telling you, don't marry her, okay? Don't marry a woman that you don't viscerally want to impregnate in her prime, in your prime. You should want that, okay? But at the same time, and by the way, if I do get married, it will be with a woman like that, okay? It will be. But at the same time, if you are using like these number rankings, oh, I want like an 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 at least. If you're doing that, you've kind of missed the point. She doesn't need to be a number ranking, okay? She needs to turn you on. Now, is it likely that there's a certain scale number ranking thing that turns you on? Yeah, probably so. Okay, that is probably the case. But if you get attached to the numbers, you're going to become detached from your primal instinct. This is why, side note, this is why we should not be looking at the dirty websites. That stuff is not real. That stuff is not real. What do I mean? Are their bodies real? Sometimes their bodies are real. But like, the lighting, the choreography, the techniques, the emotional entanglement, all of that is manufactured. Okay, it's all staged and manufactured. So don't get off the dirty websites. If you're off the dirty websites and you're not going to the gym and staring up the butt crack of every woman with skin tight shorts on, if you're not doing that, then you're gonna have a realistic understanding of what turns you on as a healthy, sexually normative male, okay? So yeah, don't get obsessed with the numbers, okay? Don't get obsessed with the numbers. Let's get into it. Things they won't tell you about beautiful women, about hot girls, super hot girls. Like, let's put it this way. These are girls that are head and shoulders more beautiful than any of the people around them, okay? That's going to look different in LA than it will in Podunksville, Missouri. It's going to look different in New York City than it will in Jacksonville, Florida. It's going to look different in Miami, Florida than it will look in New Orleans, Louisiana. Okay, there's different kind of pools and different people that stand out within those pools. So think about like your locality pool, okay? A hot girl in whatever room she's in, if she is super hot, that is usually the best thing about her. I'm going to say that again, really drive it home. If a girl is super hot, that is usually her best trait. Do you catch what I'm saying? If a girl is super hot, that is usually her best trait. All right? That principle is going to save you time, money, heartache, confusion, pain. It's going to save your freaking life. Read the book of Proverbs, my brother. Understand the book of Proverbs. Read Proverbs 31. Proverbs 31 is about a woman, but it's not for a woman, it's for you. It is written by King Lemuel's mother. King Lemuel, euphemism for King Solomon. King Solomon's mother is Bathsheba, the one who David saw bathing on a rooftop, had adultery with her, killed her husband. Very emotionally charged chapter, Proverbs 31. Read that chapter and you will understand just how important what I just told you is. If a woman is super hot, that is usually the best part about her. Okay? Let's dive into what that means a little bit. You boys have heard of the hot, crazy matrix. We're going to talk about that. You can run that matrix on a lot of other ideas. Hot and immature, hot and emotionally intelligent, or lack thereof. Okay, here's how we describe the hot, crazy matrix. The hotter a woman is, the more crazy she is. That is generally true past a certain point. Okay, again, we're not dehumanizing with these numbers. We're trying to communicate reality at a scalable level. Okay, so a 7 out of 10 hot girl. Okay, that is like your sweet spot, bro. That is your sweet spot. Again, your pastor can't say this. Married men can't say this. The 7 out of 10 girl is your sweet spot. Why? Because once you get to the 8, the 9, the 10, think about it. Think about it. Once you get to the 8, to the 9, to the 10, her other character qualities start to have competition. And then there's this crazy effect that happens, right? So if she's 7 out of 10 hot, but she's 8 out of 10 loving. If she's 7 out of 10 hot, but she's 9 out of 10 trustworthy. Ooh, brother. That's a freaking catch, bro. I'm falling in love with her just talking about her right now. There's a difference between hotness and feminine radiance. And a lot of you dirty website addicted gooners don't get it. And I used to be the same. I didn't always understand this. But there is a big difference between a hot girl and a beautiful, radiant, feminine woman. Oh my goodness, there's such a difference. And remember, this is Uncle Luke. I've been married. I'm your crazy uncle who had a divorce, okay? I can speak on this with authority. Listen to me. You do not want a woman's best trait to be how she looks. Now, if you're freaking Andrew Tate, freaking Clav, trying to go out there and play the field, then you're not watching this anyway. If you're watching this, it's because we're of like mind. You're getting advice from Uncle Luke on what really matters. You do not want the best thing about a woman to be how she looks. And unfortunately, the way it works most of the time is if she's an 8, 9, 10 out of 10 in the looks, then that is the best thing about her. And here's where it gets even worse. Hot women are not born stupid. Man, this should really be on Rumble. I'm going to be freaking censored on this. Hot women are not born crazy. They become crazy. They're not born ditzy. They're not born immature. Well, they're born immature. They're not born bad. They become bad. They're not born toxic. They become toxic. I mean, we all are sinners, right? You guys know what I mean. Okay, here's how it happens. When her hotness crosses into that 8, 9, 10 out of 10, she starts getting forgiveness for everything. Favors that she didn't earn. Disproportionate attention and treatment that she did not deserve, okay? Why? Because the collective group of gooner men and men who are controlled by their PPs, who think with the little head instead of the big one, we, the collective manhood, are lust addicted and beauty addicted. Not even beauty addicted. That would be actually a good thing. We're hotness addicted. We're superficiality, sex addicted, okay? And because of that, when we see the 8, 9, 10 out of 10 hot girl, it's, oh my gosh. Oh, she acts toxic, we'll let it slide. She acts ditzy, we'll let it slide. She is helpless and codependent, we'll let it slide. We have a lot more forgiveness for these girls. And I don't mean you and me per se. I think we're probably both guilty of it, if we're being honest. Forgiving a hot girl because she's hot, not because she deserves it. It happens to all of them, okay? If she's 8, 9, 10 out of 10 hotness, she is getting handouts and forgiveness galore, validation and attention galore, usually from a very, very young age. It doesn't always have to be sexual. It can just because she's a cute kid, you know? But we, as a society, we just prioritize beauty. We prioritize the external, okay? So she's getting a free pass and handouts and validation her whole life. She's lived her whole life in this artificially exalted state of value. And here's what happens. If she was a 5 out of 10, average attractiveness girl, you know, people might still be a little softer on her because she's a girl. She's just a girl. But she's going to have to be held more accountable to fixing her flaws. She's going to have to learn to be a little bit more independent because anytime she has a car issue, there's not a bazillion friend-zoned beta males trying to help her. Okay, the hot girl, if she has a problem, all she has to do is sniffle. And there's going to be 2 or 3 beta male simp friend zone guys that will help her through anything. Okay, the 5, 6, 7 out of 10 girl doesn't have nearly as much of that. So she has to mature. Do you see? Her character has to develop because she doesn't have this artificial support system that stands solely on the shoulders of her appearance. Okay? So what happens to the hot girl is that as she gets older, she doesn't proportionally mature. She doesn't proportionally think freely. She doesn't proportionally become independent. Her toxic behaviors get worse. They don't get better. They get worse. They proliferate because she's getting forgiveness, handouts, and support that she didn't earn that's based solely on her looks, solely on her appearance. This is why usually the hotter a girl is, the more crazy she is. The hotter she is, the less mature she is. The hotter she is, the less emotional intelligence she actually has, the more ditzy she is, okay? So, am I saying hot girls are bad? Absolutely not. They're hot. But if she's super hot, again, danger zone is like 8, 9 plus. For most girls that are 8 out of 10, 9, 10 out of 10, their beauty is the best thing about them. And that creates a massive, massive headache in marriage. And that's something that if you see a man married to a hot woman, I guarantee you, I guarantee you, he knows this. He knows this. Guys, women, they're a different species, right? Like and we men, we have our issues too. It is hard enough for men and women to live together in marriage. It is hard enough as it is. We have enough differences. But a woman whose beauty is the best thing about her will turn her husband's life into a living hell on earth. I need you to understand it. I need you to listen to your Uncle Luke and understand it. Not saying all hot girls are hell, but if her beauty is the best thing about her, which it usually is, if it's 8, 9, or 10 out of 10, think about it. Does she have 9 out of 10 beauty and 9 out of 10 humility? Unlikely. You know why? Because even the 5 out of 10 hot girls don't have 9 out of 10 humility. That's exceptional, right? 9, 10 out of 10, anything is exceptional. So if her beauty is 9 out of 10, what are the odds that her humility, her grace, her love is also 9 out of 10? They're not high. Do you see what I'm saying? And then what makes it worse, as we just said, is because when you get to the 8, 9, and 10 out of 10 hotness, now she gets supported for no freaking reason. And so the chances of her other character qualities growing disappears because she's not being held accountable, and she's being supported, and she's being inflated through the years of her prime beauty. Does it start to go away when the beauty fades? Unfortunately, it does. It does start to go away. And then they start getting very angry, bitter, and confused. And the boxed wine and the cats come in. But it's a sad story. And by the way, men are to blame. Let's just be really clear. Men are to blame for this. If we didn't do this, if we didn't prop them up, they would have to grow just like the rest of the humans. And then they could be beautiful women that are good people, okay? But because we are addicted to lust, we prop them up. And we enable their dysfunction to continue and worsen over time. It is our fault, to be very clear. I'm not even mad at them. It is our fault, okay? But if her beauty is the best thing about her, she will make your life a living hell. And the hotter she is, the more likely it is that her beauty is the best thing about her. I've beat that horse to a pulp. We're going to move on. When my marriage was falling apart, guys, I had a hot girl, but I did not care how hot she was. That's the last thing on my mind. That kind of leads me into my second point is, this is going to be super real, right? There's articles all over the internet. There's videos, there's courses, there's marriage seminars, how to get the spark back, how to bring the spice back in the bedroom, how to reignite your sex life. Let me give you a little spoiler alert. There's ugly people going to that seminar, and there's really, really hot people going to that seminar. It doesn't really matter. Point is, you get used to it. If you're in the sheets with a hot girl, it's great. It's amazing. It is. It's great. But you get used to it. It gets old. And you have to reinvigorate it. Guys, I live in Hawaii. Literally like 10 yards that way in the house. Massive window. You guys have seen me post stories with the view, right? On a very clear day in the winter months, like recently here, we have humpback whales that migrate from Alaska to Hawaii because it gets very cold in the wintertime in Alaska. They migrate to Hawaii to have their babies in the warmer climate here. And I can literally open my glass door, walk onto the back porch, and see from the comfort of my own home humpback whales in the ocean. This is crazy. 5 years ago, me would have said there's no way that we are living in Hawaii as an influencer working from home, coaching men on how to pursue greatness, attract high quality women, be confident, live on purpose, be free from addiction. That's the life we live? Driving a 4Runner over lava rock to go camping, working out in the gym, eating delicious food, hearing the tropical birds. That's the life we live? No freaking way. But I'm going to be super honest with you guys. I'm used to this. It's not euphoric for me like it used to be. My level of happiness in life is the same as it was when my view was the other apartment buildings in my suburban city context. When I would step outside and see the dingy, leafless life of the trees in, the late winter. And the sky is gray and dark, and there's this weird ice on the ground, because where I'm from, we don't really get nice snow. Usually we just get this ice. And it's cold, and I can't see any whales, much less the ocean. My happiness is the same now as it was then. Okay? It's this thing called hedonic adaptation. You get used to things, okay? You do. If you marry any woman, whether she is really, really attractive or just attractive to you, you're going to get used to The bedroom activities. You're going to get used to it. You're going to probably, you should probably go to a seminar or, read a book or listen to a sermon about how to reignite things. You're probably going to need to do that at some point. The best marriages have to work on it. In the same way, I do love living here, but I sometimes have to work on appreciating what I have. It's something we all have to do, okay? Point being is, if you marry this 8, 9, 10 out of 10 hot girl, the bedroom activities are going to be great, maybe. That's not even the case. Sometimes it's not as advertised, okay? Meaning her looks do not translate to a happy life in bed. Okay, that's more often than you would think. They're just kind of these dolls that just exist, and it's not what you think it is. But if that's all good too, then yeah, for the honeymoon phase, could be a couple years even, you're just going to be on freaking cloud 9, all right? But let me tell you, it does go away. It will go away. And after it goes away, you won't care about if she's an 8 or a 9 or a 10. You'll just care about, does she turn me on? And at that point, does she turn you on, binary yes or no? That'll be dependent on many, 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 many factors. Her looks not being the most important one at that point. I promise you. I promise you. As long as she remains attractive enough to turn you on, that will be enough. And as married men can now attest, or cannot attest, I know they believe this, but they won't tell you this. Commissioner Gordon won't broadcast it to Gotham City, but I'm going to tell you right now, just having your wife attractive enough to turn you on, most men wish they could have that. Most men's wives don't take care of themselves enough after 10, 20, 30 years to turn them on anymore. Okay? And it's like they have to really try to be turned on by their wives. So so it doesn't matter, dude. If she's hot enough to turn you on, it doesn't matter what number she is, dude. But the higher the number is, again, the more likely she is to have that as her main asset and all of the other ones sadly lagging behind. So, bottom line on that one is, yes, the bedroom is great, usually, sometimes, with the really, really hot girl, but you're going to get used to it, just like I got used to Hawaii. You're going to have to reinvigorate the spark. You're going to have to work around it. She could let herself go. There's so much more at play than the external. Okay, a couple more things to wrap up, boys. Coffee got cold. That sucks. Wrapping up. Can y'all hear the rooster? It's freaking annoying. If your relationship is built on lust, marriage will kill it. Oh, if your relationship is built on lust, marriage will kill it. Again, Commissioner Gordon, he going to get too many questions from the press if he says that. But I'm Batman. I'm going to say what I want. Some of y'all know what I mean immediately. You need no further explanation, but I'm going to explain it a little bit for everybody else. If you are coming into a relationship because the sex is good or because you think it will be, and that's your primary motivator, it's the same deal with the girl being hot, being the best thing, and then everything else is way behind. If that's how you enter into the structure of your relationship, then you're in trouble. If you're leading with lust, then it's going to die, because lust dies in a marriage. Let me rephrase that. The lust you have for your girlfriend or whatever before you're married, that lust will die in marriage. Marriage cannot sustain a relationship built on lust. And there's a sense in which marriage will kill your relationship if your relationship is built on lust. Because if lust is the foundation of your relationship, whether you're hooking up or you're not, If lust is the foundation of the relationship, which is again an inordinate sinful desire to prioritize looks, to get to the baby making activities ASAP, if that's the driver, then marriage will kill the driver. And if that was the main driver of the relationship, then marriage is going to kill the relationship as an effect of that, right? Does that mean that you guys are going to get a divorce? Lord willing, no. What God has joined together, let no man separate. But you're going to be in for a world of pain. And to be super real, guys, sometimes you get it together, you pray, you seek the Lord together, you both have this beautiful journey of coming back to God, and within a year and 6 months of rough patch, you're better than ever. That's possible. But you know what's also possible and very realistic? I'm thinking of multiple real couples in my head that I'm obviously not going to tell you their names, but multiple real people I know, real couples I know, who started from lust, that their marriages have not been good for decades. And again, off limits conversation right here. But the thing that I see in common with all of their marriages improving is the woman completing menopause. Ooh, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble. When the woman completes menopause, and they'll never say this, but I'm seeing it as a pattern. If they had this terrible marriage for like literally 20, 30, 40 years, when the woman completes menopause, it's like, they freaking calm down. They're like, we're finally starting to sync up. We're finally starting to get along. My brother, do not optimize for lust. Don't do it. One of my actual siblings, one of my brothers, who he probably won't watch this, but if you're watching this, is super handsome and very business savvy and likes to make very blunt jokes. He said this once. He said, Luke, you got a get out of jail free card. Speaking of my divorce. And as blunt and improper as that is to say, he is right. He is right. So listen to your Uncle Luke. The last thing I'm going to tell you, boys, is a hot wife will never fix a lust issue. What we just said is if your relationship is built on lust, marriage will kill your relationship. True facts. Does that mean that the marriage will kill your lust? No, it will kill your lust towards your wife. And that's a problem, isn't it? Marriage will kill the lust you have for your wife, but it will not kill your lust. And that's another big issue we see is a man who is lust addicted as he's heading into marriage. It's not that he stops being lustful. It's that the target of his lust changes. Maybe it changes from the crazy women in the dirty websites. It changes from that target to the target of his girlfriend or fiance. And maybe they are chaste in the time leading up to marriage. Maybe they are less so. But his target for lust has changed. So what happens is he thinks, oh, I'm not looking at the dirty websites anymore. I'm good to go. Oh, like I'm not, choking the chicken as much. So we're good to go. Sorry, that was crass, guys. That was a little bit, I was a little bit crass with the hand motion. But hey, we're being super real. Okay, so yeah, I apologize for that. Anyway, he thinks that because he is going into marriage not having lust for other women, he thinks his lust problem is solved. It is not solved. It is simply transferred to his girlfriend, fiance, or wife. Marriage will kill the lust he has for his wife, because marriage is just super real and lust is not. That's a bar. Marriage is super real and lust is not. Okay. It's not grounded in reality. Marriage is. So his lust problem doesn't go away. A hot girl does not fix your lust problem. At the end of the day, dude, no girl, no other person can fix your lust problem. If you're a young man and you've had this feeling where it's like, oh, I started dating this beautiful woman of God, and all of a sudden I stopped looking at porn. I said the P word. Hopefully we're not deplatformed. I stopped looking at the dirty websites, but I'm, thinking about her in a certain way, right? Or her and I might be pushing the boundaries and some things. Your lust problem did not go away. And it don't matter how hot she is, she can't fix that. You got to fix that before you get into a relationship, bro. And I don't mean you got to be perfect. No, none of us are perfect. But if you're being led by lust consistently, I wouldn't be trying to date. You're kind of playing Russian roulette at that point. All right, so this is the unedited for the boys chat episode 43. I hope that this has been helpful to some of you, if not at least enlightening and entertaining. As always, I do appreciate you being around. Y'all take care. We'll see you soon.